All right, all right. Hey guys, welcome back. All right, so let's get into this. This is going to be a specific message because I keep seeing in my mind's eye somebody who's got like stubble, grayish. It's not a full beard. That is very specific. It's and I can't see the color of their eyes. I can't see their hair. I can only see from here down in my mind's eye. And they have like stubble or grayish. I would say it would have been darker hair, but it's like graying. I don't know if I would call it a full mustache. It was like a little bit thicker, but it wasn't like a full on mustache in my mind's eye. Basically like a face that hasn't shaved, and like maybe, well, I guess depending on how fast someone's facial hair grows, but like let's say it's a 2 day growth. It's more than a 5 o'clock shadow, but it's not a beard. It's not all filled in. I don't even know if it's somebody who would grow like a really furry beard or not, but that's only from here down is all I can see. And I would just say that that denotes passage of time, maybe. We may be dealing with a masculine. I don't know. Hi, guys. Great to see everybody. Thanks for joining me over here also. Sorry, I was on my other channel doing a collective message right before this, and I kind of had to abruptly wrap the story up to check on the apple crisp, which I did not burn. Thank goodness. King of Wands, Queen of Swords. Okay, so in these specific messages, we try to get as specific as we can, even right down to saying, hallelujah, I didn't burn the apple crisp. I'm really glad that I didn't wreck it. But maybe, if the storyline starts out with like passage of time, but then also I'm talking about like I was worried I was burning something. So kind of time was of the essence. So maybe we should wrap that into this a little bit. If time is of the essence, let me put it this way. We have a feminine over here beating on the drum. Now, I usually look at any kind of drum like this as like the heartbeat drum. So she could be sending out a message the way one's heart does. She could be in a more like maybe like pulsating thoughts, but the thoughts are coming from the voice of her heart. She is sending out some kind of a message, I would say. Now he seems to be sitting here. He's got a kind of a graphic t-shirt on that actually has a lion's head on it. So he could very specifically be a Leo. But he's sitting here and he's got his magic wand, but I can't say that it looks like he's doing much with his magic wand. His lamp is not lit and he's not attempting to make a move, but he's kind of hovering above, in this case, like the planet, right? So he's a little bit off planet. So I'm going to say none of this is happening in the tangible realm, because if her heart is sending out messages, then it's all 5D. If he's sitting hovering above the planet, then again, he's in the 5D. So these two are not, this is not going to be a story about two people talking or connecting or, interacting in the 3D. So we can assume that these two, maybe they're sharing the same like really awesome wavelength. Maybe they're astral projecting and connecting to each other in this story. It is kind of nighttime here and possibly like early dawn wherever she's at. So maybe there's a bit of a time difference. It doesn't have to be much of a time difference, honestly. It could be, somebody is 2 hours ahead of somebody else. And we have a King of Swords. He's thinking about being a King of Swords. She's thinking about him being a King of Swords. And it's a little bit like, who are you going to be? What you going to do? What's going to happen here? We see him up in the same mountain range with her now, right? Way up high. We see him like, obviously his guide is very much attached to him. He's got his bow and arrow, but he doesn't have an arrow in it because his guide is going to help him, select the right arrow, select the right message to send. I feel like she is willing him to send a message. Let's talk about them just a little bit. So we have this feminine. In this case, I would say she's got like kind of bohemian like flavor in clothing, attire. She may be somebody who likes kind of like earth energy type elements. Somebody who doesn't wear maybe like diamonds and rubies and sapphires, but instead prefers like gemstones. And, instead of metal, maybe she likes, cord, or maybe she likes, wire wrapped, copper wrapped, jewelry and such, kind of natural fiber clothing. She's somebody who may kind of have a pretty healthy lifestyle choices, as far as like, she doesn't look like she does a whole lot of I don't know, like even her face looks very fresh, very beautiful, just kind of like natural beauty. You know, this looks like somebody who's, I don't know, I'm picturing somebody specifically. I keep picturing their like soap products and detergents, and it's like, you know, like dye free, paraffin free, like that kind of. I know it's a weird specific side note, but it just feels like somebody who's like, you know, maybe she knows like she's hypersensitive to things that, you know, like get itchy on your skin if you use highly, you know, scented chemical type of products. I'm picturing like there's even something about what she chooses to like saturate her environment with has to be more natural. And I'm guessing it's probably because she doesn't like stuff that like blocks her frequency to the 5D realm. So I'm thinking that as natural a flow as she can get, she may be somebody who likes to sleep with the windows open. She may be somebody who's very particular about, you know, she wants a room set up in a way so that she can have two different windows open so she gets the airflow that goes across. You know, it feels like she needs the energy of earth around her, particularly like the energy of freedom that comes with like the wildness of earth and of wild creatures. I don't know how else to explain that, but I'm thinking it's because that's how she connects the best, like how her thoughts project or how her energy projects or how she picks up on. I feel like she would be annoyed if she can't read or send the kind of like telepathic messages, intuitive messages, whatever wording we want to use to describe her connection into the 5D realm. So very different energy. Now here's the thing. He's getting these messages, even though in my first thought process, all I could see was a man's face that had like some beard on it. Um, Normally I would say it doesn't have to be masculine or feminine. Who cares about the genders? We can apply whatever we want. And that is still true, except in these specific messages, I try to be as specific as I can. So we're just going to say he may have a love for graphic t-shirts, by the way. He may also gravitate toward like his power animal, which could be something like a hawk or something like a lion or something with fangs, you know, claws, talons, that type of thing. He may be somebody that, you know, leans toward, I'm not going to say like weapons, but like power animals that clearly like show that they've got some, you know, like I'll say some bite to them. Now that could be that he's just in the divine masculine energy, you know, that's something he gravitates toward because, you know, protective nature, protective instinct or something. But I feel like those types of things show up. Like he could be in some ways like, you know, a classic stereotyped, and forgive me for using stereotypes. I try to steer clear of that. But on the other hand, like I'll use my brother as an example. My brother is like extremely like a man's man while still being like very like pro woman, you know, very supportive of the female. He grew up with a lot of us girls in the family. He's like somebody who is like he's a protector and feels like he's like the dawn of the family, but over all of us sisters, even though we're all older than him. And yet he's like a kind of like a classic guy's guy, but also with like this sensitivity and intuitive side. I'm just using that as an example for like a non-romanticized, you know, masculine that I can objectively look at and say, you know, you can be a classical male archetype, I think, and also still be really attuned to your feminine side. I've met other men like that, but I'm just saying, you know, I know my brother really well, and you know, like the from childhood onward, like that's a trait, and I'm trying to apply that here so that we can step back and see this person as being both very classic male archetype because he's coming up as two kings, but also incredibly like intuitive because he's heart-centered, right? But he's also very logical. And he's also totally tapped into that 5D realm. So, you know, but he's got these power animals. But the reason I wanted to say all that, I think, is just because he's not seeking like claws and talons and fangs in power animal energy because it's like, oh, I'm scared. It's maybe a depiction of like how his strength emanates from him also. But interestingly enough, as much as, let's go back to this character now, instead of talking about stereotypes and trying to break through stereotypes. But he seems to be the kind of person who has his energy flow around him of, he knows what he wants to do. He knows what his heart wants to do, but his heart is not enough to make him budge. It also has to make sense, is what this says. Now, I'm thinking that since he is picking up on energy, because he's picking up on the energy flow of her so loud and clear, and it doesn't say anything about him not being in total agreement with wanting to be with her, right? But he is like receiving the message loud and clear. But for some reason, either his guide is saying, whoa, don't send that message to her yet. Don't respond yet. Even though we see him ready, right? Now we see she's over here at a 9 of Swords energy, but also the Devil. There is some kind of, hang on, we're going to need a few more cards before I say anything about this. This could be that he suddenly wants to like rush toward her, like to come and, you know, heal her, or he's feeling like, oh my God, she needs me. I need to go rescue. But the guide is either saying, whoa, you need to get to her, or whoa, you need to pause. There is some element, you notice that they're both blindfolded here. And that's the Devil card. There's problem, there's sensitivity, there's issue. We have a 4 of Pentacles. You know what I think this is? If he was sitting here because he wasn't ready yet, even if he hears the message calling out from her heart, if he's not really truly ready, it says don't go toward her, because you're going to show up like you want to rescue her or take away any hurt or pain that you fear she has. But if you're not really ready, she's going to be, what the hell are you doing? Why are you here to offer me nothing? If you're going to offer me sunflowers, you better be planting them and staying and tending them. 4 of Pentacles says you can't show up and then still hold back. Okay, so we are looking at a situation where it could be, hang on, let me change decks, because it feels like the guides are saying if you're not 100% really ready, you cannot answer her call. As much as you feel like you want to, you can't if you're not ready to give what you would need to give. The guides are over here saying 5 of Wands, think before you take action. Think about what it would mean if you show back up in her life. You have to be, are you going to be there for her? Are you rushing in because you're getting this pulsating, you know, message from her? And so in the 5D realm, and so you want to rush in, but don't do it if you're not going to be there. Don't, the connection in the 5D, if you can't give her something in the 3D also, then don't move toward her, or at least pause and think first, what are you ready to give? Because it's just going to be confusing and hurtful if you come in. Magician in the reverse. Okay, the guides are telling him if, and let me see if I can explain this. He doesn't get to rush in and be a hero. Like, oh, but I think she needs me. I hear her energy calling me. She might be sad. I must rush to her and wipe away her tears. But you don't get to do that and be the good guy and the hero if as soon as you're done rushing in, then you're still going to split, or you're going to not actually give. If you're not ready to do this yet, you're going to look like the bad guy for coming in to try to be the hero when you're not really there for the long haul. And this says he has to figure out, are you wanting to answer the call of her heart because you actually are ready to be with her? Or are you wanting to answer the call because you know, just want to rush in to be the hero, the protector for an hour, a day? Don't lie to yourself about what this is. Have you been waiting until you could say, oh, I think she needs me, for you to come rushing in? You need to approach her because you're ready to, because your heart's open, because you want to, not because of a synthetically created, like, oh, but see, she needs me right now. You should be able to admit that you need her too, is what I think this is. Because the guys are saying you can't lie. You need to really think about this. You need to be ready to stay. You can't come in and still hold back. You can't come in and get into some toxic pattern with her. You can't come rushing in because you know that you feel her heart, but you need to be able to admit that you want to be with her too, or that you are ready to give to her. Otherwise, stay away. I mean, I think that's what this says to me. I don't know that I'm right, but that Magician card in the reverse says liar. We have the sun. Okay, so I'm not even sad that I just called them liar. And I'm sorry I have to say it that way. It takes a sting out of it because the guides aren't going to be mean, but they are going to be on point. So the guide is holding his arm back. You cannot reach out to her unless you are ready to say, God, I love her. I love her smile. I love her voice. I want to be with her. I want to, whatever, accompany her song. If she's playing ukulele, I'm going to play the bongos. We're going to do this together. And he does know. He knows damn well. This is all or nothing kind of thing. If you're ready to be with her, then go be with her. If you're not, stay the hell away. You cannot play this weird game where you want to rush in to be a hero for a split second, but then you're still not ready to give. And you have to be vulnerable. You have to be ready to love her. And that means opening up to her. You can't come in as the hero who stays aloof. It won't work. The Hierophant, he knows this. Or at least the guides are saying, this. Here, we'll give you a nice big furry bear with claws and fangs. You'll give you a grizzly bear, real ferocious thing. Since you like those power animals, you can be in your power and you can be vulnerable. You can, but don't approach her unless you're ready to do that. Because this is the woman that you're going to marry. So you can't mess with her. You cannot come in when you're not ready. You cannot come in to pretend you're going to be there for her, but then still want to be an ice cold, frozen bucket of fish. I have no idea why I said that. Definitely it's time that he gets in touch with his higher self. Also, the thing that we're like not talking about that's like sitting right there in this story the whole time. Dude, you're literally connected to her psyche through the astral realm. What are you saying you're not ready to be vulnerable? Honey, you are. You're mind melded to her. Doesn't get that much more, intimately connected, right? So the whole, like, I want to come in because I'm worried that she might need me, but then I'm still going to be ice cold and not give to her. And then she's going to be confused about why I'm even back. And the guides are like, why would you even do that? Why would you even approach if you're not ready to be there? Can't you admit that that's what you actually want? Why are you lying to yourself about this? You're trying to find a synthetic reason to come back to her. Why can't you just be direct about it? You want to be with her. You want to marry this person. Go in and say that, or don't say anything at all. But you already know there's more power to being like straightforward and honest about what you want. For somebody who has a lot of power animals and has such a powerful connection to her, I don't know what this underlying, like, I'll say, tendency for them to come in but then hold back, for them to be connected to her emotionally and psychically, but then in the 3D realm still be like, I don't think I can do a whole relationship thing, or I don't know that I want to give and open up and be vulnerable. Like that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But for a cup sideways, it's definitely some energy of sabotage. Let me put it this way. She doesn't get it either. And it's getting old hat here. I think, the comment about like, she's obviously calling out to him. Maybe this is like last call, in the bar is like, it's in 15 minutes at 2 a.m. last call. Bar service is shutting down. I'm wondering if this is more like last call. Can you do it yet? Can you just be here with me yet? Or do I have to leave you behind? Because this says it's real old at this point. She's changed her hair color. She dyed it reddish cinnamon. She's sitting here in a coffee house. She's been sitting here for a while. I think she's given a lot of space maybe to this person. Sorry, I'm trying to read what's written on the bar behind her. This is like a coffee bar. I can't make it out other than, I don't know, like maybe the name Rihanna is here. But in any case, she's pretty much done. She's pretty much done. She may have some new body art, some tattoos on her since he last saw her. She could wear glasses now or contact lenses or something. Like I say, she could have changed her hairstyle. In the 3D, she may look different than she does in the 5D. We have the Empress. Yeah, I do feel like this is last call. I think this is, I love you, but I got to let you go now. Oh, that song, I love you, but I just can't take this. I love you, but I'm playing for keeps. Phil Collins, right? In Genesis. She's at that point. Now her hair is turning like mermaid blue-green. But she's holding the world in front of her face. And this is like her saying, baby, this is your last chance. I do know you're out there. I know you can hear me. But if you're never going to like come into my world, then there's a lot of other people in this world. And even here, you know, the fact that he's floating right above the earth here, she's ready to turn something into the 3D, because the Empress is a 3D power figure, right? This is the divine feminine in the 3D. The High Priestess would be the 5D divine feminine. She doesn't want to be the 5D. Even the fact that she started out as a Queen of Swords, a very, you know, thought projection, very 5D. She doesn't want that. She wants to be really planted on earth now. It's union, or it'll be somebody else that I have union with. This doesn't even mean that she doesn't love him. It doesn't mean that she's mad or fed up. It is to the point though where it's like, if it's not going to be you, then it does need to be somebody else. We have a 10 of Swords in the reverse. She might be explaining this from her heart space to him into the 5D. Like, it hurts that I have to let you go. This is not the way I wanted it to end. But if you can't land the plane, babe, then I got to go. I'm hearing that song by Chapel Roan, Good Luck, Babe, which is, you know, all a song about like, you know, you'd have to stop the world to stop this feeling. Good luck if you want to pretend that you don't love me. She doesn't really have a doubt that he's out there and that he wants to be with her, but she's done with the 5D never coming together in the 3D. So at this point, I would just say that there could even have been distance, like location difference between them. She doesn't hurt so much at the idea of letting him go. The rain's not falling. She may not be crying. She may be sending this message out with love. And it's not a threat, and it's not a stomping her little foot and saying, tick-tock, hurry it up and get here. This is actually her saying, it's been a long time. I've been sitting at this coffee house, but you never showed up, kind of thing. It's been, months or years. And you just never did meet me for that coffee. We never did sit down and have this 3D conversation. I know we talk a lot in the 5D, but I'm realizing that you live in the 5D realm. Maybe that's where you want to keep this. And that's all right. If that's where you're comfortable, just know that I'm here on planet Earth. And so now it's time that I connect to other people on planet Earth. This might be her energetically saying, I'm probably not going to keep the lines of energy open for our 5D connection anymore. I got to close down this, tuning out, or like I said, last call. It never feels more desolate than if you go out to like club and you're dancing and you're having a good time, and then you get to that 2:00 mark and it's last call, and then when they want people to leave, they flip on the lights, and then you go, oh wow, this is like there's beer all over the floor, and things are sticky and things are dirty, and all of a sudden the magic of the lights and the pumping music is turned off, and it's like, oh god, it's quiet and it's weird in here. And I feel like that's going to be kind of the culture shock that he's going to have, because this is kind of her last transmission to him. And I think it's going to be almost like when you flip on the lights at a bar and the DJ stops and the music ends, and then you see that it's a sticky mess and nobody else is there. And I think that's going to be kind of maybe what he's about to experience. But she's letting him know, it's okay. I'm not mad and I'm not broken anymore over the idea of letting you go. But I got to be here on Earth and live in the 3D with somebody who's ready to be with me. 6 of Cups, 7 of Wands. Before I say anything, let me get one more card. Queen of Cups sideways. I don't dig this. This is him saying, I don't believe you. 7 of Wands. There's no way you can block me. We're soulmates. We'll always find our way back to each other, even if it's not until we are in wheelchairs. I'm going to, you'll always still be mine. You'll always still love me, right? He might really just want to keep this always and forever in the 5D, Maybe that's where he's comfortable with, always the, I feel good because I know somehow someday, it's the person who's like, I'm going to do this someday. This is like me saying I'm going to run a marathon someday, right? I've never made it past the 11.5 mile mark. And I didn't even run that, by the way, but I've always still wanted to do a marathon. But I said that since I was 32. I'll be 45 this year. Now, I should get my butt in gear and really just do it, but I can say it online right now. I want to do it. Chances are I won't do it by the time my birthday rolls around. I like the idea of it, but will I really go out and start training for it and do it? I should, but there's nothing in my past behavior that would indicate that I'm going to follow through. So if I do follow through, I promise I will brag my pants off. I mean, I'll keep my pants on, but I'll brag my head off. I'll keep my head on too, but I'll do that here. We have a Queen of Wands. You notice she sits on her luggage in front of this mansion and the gate. She's even got her cat. This is her saying, baby, you don't get it. This was last call for us. This is me. I'm packed up. I'm leaving. I closed the gate up. I moved out of that mansion and I realized that's not the empire I'll build with you. I'm leaving. I'm leaving this 5D connection. Aries is here, by the way, guys. So I'm going to have to bounce out in just a second. We got the Four of Cups. Again, it's a bummer. It's a damn shame, but I got to go. Does he receive that message? Hang on, Aries. I'm coming, love. He receives it loud and clear. Yikes. This is an abrupt ending. It becomes very, very clear. And I think he finds out a little too late that this is a crying shame. There's an injustice here. I have to go. As you can hear, the baby says, it's over. Let him go. If there's going to be a part 2 to this, maybe we'll still get it later. But for right now, the baby needs me. Bye, you guys.